beautiful people. So usually this is a video podcast where you can see our delightful faces as you're watching the podcast and listening to the podcast. But this week we forgot to press save on that video. So instead, here are some pictures of our faces and potentially some other things. And the same delightful things are there for your ears. So enjoy that and enjoy the podcast. Welcome everybody to the Theatre Pitch podcast by OFitD Productions. I'm Jem, this is Joe.
Hey.
And this is Sean.
You normally come to me first. It feels weird. I was getting ready to say hello, but hello.
I like to mess it up. I like to keep you guys on your toes.
Gotta be ready, Sean. Gotta be ready for a hello at any time.
Exactly.
Jem might just throw it in mid-show now. Hey, be ready.
Sean, say your name.
I don't think I'm the favourite anymore, Joe.
No. Well, on this podcast, we take a random online encyclopedia article and we each come up with our individual theatre pitches for how we'd stage that article. And then at the end of the podcast, we try and merge those three pitches. Wow, I'm so confused today. But we merge those three pitches into one, hopefully coherent, definitely more coherent than I am today, pitches for a theatre show, and then you at the end, wonderful listeners, you guys pick which one's best or try and out-pitch us. So, this week's... I nailed it so badly. This week's article that we were given is Canada's Next Top Model Season 3. Joe,
yes,
radio
that
voice.
is right. Cycle 3 of Canada's Next Top Model was the Canadian adaptation of Tyra Banks' America's Next Top Model. Aired on CTV from May to July 2009. It saw Jay Manuel returning for a second season of the show as host, and the panel was comprised of Gian Baker, Yasmin Varsama, and Mike Ruiz, who was the only new addition.
Okay. And the winner of the competition was then 19-year-old Megan Waller from Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Spoilers.
So, I know, I know that last week when we found this article, we all got very excited because it was so full of ideas. And then when I sat down and went, right, what's my idea? I struggled this week. How did you guys find it?
I agonized over this for hours.
I done what I normally do and think of an idea for about like an hour and really like sit on it, and then completely change my mind and think of something within like a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I came up with about 4 or 5 different ideas, but you were like, because you said last podcast, you were like, Jem, you're not allowed to kill anybody, it has to be fun, it has to include unicorns, it has to be sparkly this week. My first reaction was I really wanted to do a murder mystery, but that was last week's pitch.
You can't do 2.
No, I can't do 2, especially not in a row. So we're not going with a murder mystery, but let's start the pitching. So who wants to go first?
I think, because you've been nailing the intro, I think you should go first.
Okay. Alright, okay, fair enough. So, it's not a murder mystery. My interpretation of Canada's Next Top Model Season 3, I kind of thought, what about doing, like, a dramatization of it? And I was like, that was boring. And then I was like, Miss Congeniality, that's a fun spin, but that includes killing people and, like, stuff. It was a fun movie, but also, it doesn't include unicorns. And it's not fun or anything like that. So my pitch is, it's a one-woman show that is a hybrid between a stand-up comedy show and just a normal one-woman storytelling show. Much like Fleabag, great show, by the way. But it's somewhat verbatim theatre. For anyone who doesn't know what verbatim is, it's where you speak the exact words of somebody who's real, who is part of it, and like actually it's a lot of autobiographical and biographical pieces of verbatim. Look it up. but it kind of verbatim, but it's told from the perspective of the runner-up. So not not Megan Waller. It is told from the runner-up, who I have just completely forgotten her name.
Lindsay Willier.
Thank you. I was looking at it going, I'm pretty sure it's Lindsay Willier.
That was really quick, Joe.
Joe seems to have watched it secretly.
Yeah, I'll be honest. This week I've just been binging all 9 episodes, just taking notes. I'm very prepared for this.
There you go. But yeah, my pitch is a one-woman stand-up storytelling show from the perspective of Lindsay Willier, who is the runner-up, about all of the behind-the-scenes elements, and it's kind of a fun look at modelling and also the TV industry, and how, you know, during the show they did makeovers and various different things like that. So, yeah, and I kind of imagined it being a set that is a catwalk, and there's a chair, a single chair at the end of the runway, and that's where she sits. And there was something about, so the audience are kind of end on, but then maybe there are interesting people who sit along the side, the inside of the catwalk, so they're kind of almost, they're seen by the audience as well, so kind of interesting perspective there. But mainly my whole thing was, I want a stand-up comedy show where it's also verbatim and storytelling, and it's all about modelling, and it's kind of got the sense of humour of Miss Congeniality, which is brutally honest. But yeah, there you go. That's my pitch. Questions?
I didn't see a one-woman show coming. I didn't, but I quite like that. You've took the. I quite like the aspect of focusing on the runner-up. They're like, oh, I almost did it, and then I was only the second prettiest person in Canada in 2009.
Can I ask, what distance were you thinking of covering with the show? Like, is it just set over the basis of beginning to end of season 3 or cycle 3 of Canada's Next Top Model, or does it cover this person, like any of their life before, their life after? What time span do you think it covers?
I think it's the telling of Canada's Next Top Model the telling of I'm gonna start again.
The telling of Canada's Next Top Model season 3,
as told by Lindsay Willier, a comedic rendition of the truth. So I think she kind of brings in back end details of her life. You know, maybe there's that dramatic opening where she tells, you know, the comedic anecdote about how, I don't know, when she was 3 years old, she decided to walk down the dining room table, and that's when she knew that Spotlight opens and she sat at the end of the catwalk. I wanted to be a model. So, like, that really stand up, and it's funny, but it's using all of the drama techniques. And yeah, I got really into the idea, and I quite liked it, because I've seen dramatic stand-up shows before, and they were genuinely fun. And I've got a couple of friends who have modelled before, so I can sort of pull from insights from them. And then hopefully, as is the intention, I would speak to all of the contestants as well as the judges of Canada's Next Top Model season 3, and get actual anecdotes and see how we can pull out the funny from behind the scenes of this hit TV show.
Could the people, so you said your stage is going to be sort of like a catwalk, could the people that you said would be on the side of the catwalk, sort of like sideways to the audience, could they be cardboard cutouts of the people she beat?
That's pretty fun. I mean, I originally thought maybe it is the people that she beat, like, for real. But I don't know if the budget or their time would allow for that.
I don't think I'd want to sit there. If I'd come third, I'd be like, nah, do my own thing.
I don't know about any of the others, because it's only Lindsay Willier and Megan Waller who have links. Like, all of the other ones are dead links. They don't exist on the online encyclopedia. So, yeah, that's my idea.
Okay. Joe, Gemma, you can pick who's going next.
Joe, I think we all just nominated
All
Joe.
right.
Right, Joe's pitch. Go!
We set this up like it's a big budget, full kind of touring production, musical production of an adaptation of season 3 of Canada's Next Top Model. Now, episode 1 of Canada's Next Top Model was entitled Ice, Baby, Ice. So, we're going to open on the stage there's like a kind of big old-fashioned Busby Berkeley style walkway down. The stage is lit with dry ice. In comes those familiar tunes of dum 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 dum. Slowly, a cast start walking out, and you think it's all about to get started. They're all started doing like an doing some real good like close harmonies, getting ready for it. And then someone who comes out, who they are the host, and they're like, "Yo, VIP, let's kick it. Ice, ice, baby. Dum, 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 dum. All right, stop." And from there, they stop, and the production becomes them saying, "Now we need to have a discussion about Justin Trudeau. Why did we let him off for blackface?" And so from here on, it becomes a panel of multiracial Canadians discussing how much we are willing to forgive of a leader in terms of his past transgressions if he is making real good in the modern day, and whether, in comparison to someone like Donald Trump, who has performed infinitely worse things, whether we hold Trudeau to a higher standard because we assume that any slight mistake by him, he is meant to be better. And yeah, it's a panel discussion with a nice set.
When does this turn into a South Park episode?
There is no plot. There are no characters. Everyone is themselves. It is a frank and honest discussion about race and politics in Canada.
Okay.
Any questions?
How does it end? Because I'd quite like it to like circle back to like a season 3 reference.
Yeah, secretly the judges have been judging the argument and the debate on the panel.
If I jump forward to the final episode, number 8, Rockin' the Runway, in which the final 3 had a photo shoot for the cover of Fashion magazine. Just because we want everyone to go home happy, screw it. We're going to end on a big full cast performance of Fashion by David Bowie. No reason why, just because it's a good song.
Okay. At least, I mean, you've taken inspiration from the article, I suppose. I have made notes, so... Sean, any questions, or do you want to jump into your pitch?
Any questions about Joe's show? So you know it's a panel show.
Yes.
Could we? I'm just trying to put some Canada's Next Top Model in there. Could the panel sort of be arranged how the judges are on Next Top Model?
Yes, there can be. It can all be set up. So the stage is set up like this is a production of Canada's Next Top Model, the musical. So we keep this staging throughout it. But just, you know what, if you want, we can even seek to get the actual panel for Canada's Next Top Model, because they seem like a relatively diverse group as well to begin with. And, you know, because Yasmin Vassame she is from Mogadishu. Jim Baker, she's from Toronto. I mean, Mike Ruiz, he is also Canadian, but he is of Spanish Filipino ancestry. That's a diverse panel between the 3 of them.
It is.
Like,
Sean's just disappeared quickly.
Sean has. He's just so incredibly impressed by my idea that he just can't believe it, and he is astonished, and he's decided the podcast is over because it won't get better. That's what I assume happened. Oh, good, he's back. I can stop talking.
That's exactly what it was. That's exactly. I had to go take a walk and process how you saw that Wikipedia article and managed to swerve it to that via Vanilla Ice. That was really good.
Yeah, you've got a skill, Joe. Right, and on that note, Sean, your pitch. Sean, follow that act.
Sean, fucking top that.
But can we make a new rule? You know, before we start this, can we just have like a chat with Joe beforehand as to whether he should go like last?
No, it's the luck of the draw.
That
If
would
anything,
require
we should
me
be
having
getting
an idea before you start recording.
Because I feel sometimes it's really unfair that I have to follow him when he just pulls out stuff like this. All right, because mine's like I thought mine was like fun and playful.
I really am
And now
excited
it's
for yours
just like,
because you've been raving about your idea. So
haven't been-
spill the beans.
He went raving. When we went on to this, I was like, oh, I've had a good idea. Okay, so my idea. My first idea was, this is the one that I didn't go with, was to do a dramatical reenactment of the highlights from the season, but using the medium of Shakespeare.
Okay, so can I just ask with this idea?
No. That wasn't. I binned that off because I realised the reason why I got that idea is because I've been reading like Shakespeare, Back to the Future this week. So again, like I'm really easily influenced, it seems. So my other idea,
Which is apparently made Joe disappear.
Joe didn't like it.
Okay.
You got there.
William Shakespeare's The Empire Striketh Back.
Ooh, we are
I've
not
got a new-
sponsored nor endorsed, but we are fans.
I've got Shakespeare and New Hope.
Oh, nice.
Anyway,
What you will notice here is, side note, Joe's tip for the day. Take your book jackets off. They look nicer without the paper jackets.
No.
Okay, back on track. Sean, what's your actual pitch?
I had to think about it, and I thought this is the first time that we've done something, either in like the proper podcasts or the practice podcasts that we've done, where the thing actually has a narrative. So it isn't just like, oh, it's a thing, oh, it's a person. This is an actual narrative entertainment thing. So I thought instead of using that, because it would be really easy to just like retell the story that's been told. So I thought I'm going to take that out and I'm going to focus on the structure or the format. Okay, so it is a 8 one-act show. Yep, so it's a show of 8 one-act short stories. The first one has a cast of 11. The second one will have a cast of, how much was it? 9. And then 8, 7, 6, 5, until we get to the last one, which has a cast of 3. That mirrors the
episodes of Canada's Next Top Model.
Yep. Each short story.
Is there is there not a 10th episode?
No,
there's 8 episodes.
There's 8.
There's 8 episodes. Two girls left on the first episode. One got kicked out. One quit.
I thought you just had prejudice against the number 10.
No.
Okay.
No. So then, how to explain it? Each one act, the story in each one act is based on the photo shoot from each episode. So episode 1, Ice Baby Ice, is based around 80s glamour with wild animals. Or you've got episode act 2 is called Transformers, and that's based around posing on a ladder with a male model. So we'll get a cardboard cutout for that bit. And then like various other ones is like Battle of the Blondes, act 5 would be based around an LG phone ad in a nightclub. Yep. And the one thing I'd want to do with each act is try and recreate the actual photos, so you sort of pay homage to like the different photographers in each episode.
Okay.
Yep. That's basically the show. Another thing that I wanted to do was so throughout the series they have different makeup artists in, and they do like it's called a makeover.
Yeah.
Yeah. So depending on which episode you leave, you'll have that makeover. So the first two girls will have the makeover of the first episode, and vice versa.
Okay.
So that's my idea. It's not political. It's just I'm creating a theatre show based around different aspects from the series as a whole. And at the end, you find out it's all set in Canada.
Okay.
Wait, is that the big twist?
That's the big twist at
It
the
was
end.
Canada all along.
It was Canada all along. Okay. All right. Okay.
I missed the best one. How did I miss the best one? Episode 4, so Act 4, so we get halfway. The audience are settled in. They're sort of like, oh, okay, I get it now. They're all the same actors, but they're playing different parts. You get to Act 4, which is called Model Meltdown. Oh, and that's going to be based around avant-garde beauty shots with duct tape on lips.
Yes, I saw that one. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I've had an idea of how we can merge them. Joe's may not be included. It's not a musical. There you go. It's not a musical. But my thought was, so I like the 8 one-acts structure. And maybe instead of having one person tell the whole story, maybe each act is led by the person who was removed that episode, or the 2 people that were removed that episode. And they are doing the comedic commentary on that episode and that time. And when it comes to the episode or the act with the tape across their mouth, the whole thing could be... do you know the comedian, the boy with tape on his mouth?
Yeah.
It's brilliant. He's hilarious.
Tape on
he
his
does
face,
comedy
but whatever.
through tape on his... He tapes his face and then he does comedy through that. And it's fantastic. But using that kind of technique, or even getting him on board. But essentially, they are in their own little sets. So you've got the ladder if you want the ladder. And things like that. But they are doing essentially a stand-up routine that's storytelling. Because that technically just is stand-up. But it's all about their experience on the show as a whole, but the setting with which they're telling it is doing these different photo shoots per act. Yeah?
Yeah. It's nice to have my idea used for a change.
I mean, I have to say, I do like the idea with Joe that you use theatre and art as a medium to discuss things like race and politics.
Well, actually, it's more what we do is use theatre as a medium of tricking people into sitting through a discussion.
I mean, that is also stand-up, but stand-up is less discussion and more monologue. But... you know, there's potentially that idea is that, you know, you've got a lot of stand-up that does include commentary on race and things like that. So I think we also open it up to that idea of, you know, by using people's personal experience, by talking about those things, but in a comedic way, you know, because if that is something that comes up in these individuals' actual truth experience behind going onto this show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we found it. There you go. That was a very easy
I feel like
one.
I'm the only one in the group that goes to theatre to just like, oh, I want to go see a good show. Oh, I don't really want it to talk to me. I just want to find out what Alexander Hamilton was up to.
I mean, how can you say you went to see Hamilton and didn't consider it a political show? I'm
I
just
wanted
saying.
to know how. I wanted to know what happened to Peggy. She just disappeared.
She did just disappear.
That's what
We
I was
know what
thinking.
happened to Peggy. She held off the house from attackers with only a tomahawk, and then she died.
Yeah, I don't get why that weren't in it.
Is that truthful?
Genuinely, both of those things are true. I mean, I assume you worked out the she died bit as being true.
No, I recognize she died.
The story of apparently there was a break-in at the Schuyler Mansion, and Peggy managed to scare away them by apparently an antique tomahawk.
Wow. So essentially, Hamilton 2 is just Peggy. That's the next Lin-Manuel production.
Yeah, that's why she's so unfeatured in this one, because they had to save all the Peggy stuff because she deserves her own play.
She does. She's a hero. Anyway, so
Next week's idea.
Peggy.
If you can make it work with whatever we get.
So Gemma, so what's the show? From what I've gathered is we're an 8-act show where it's based on the photo shoots and the stories told from each episode from the losing contestant from that episode.
Yes.
And occasionally they'll throw in a few like politics references
if they feel like it.
if they want to.
The stage is on a catwalk with a photo shoot.
I think we have to go catwalk. When I was thinking it was like a black box studio, but I feel like you've just. I know it's a bit lazy to go. Oh, it's models catwalk, but
I feel like if we don't do that, the critics will turn around and say, "But why didn't they do it on a catwalk? Because it's a show about modelling." It lends itself, and I think that's so. A catwalk is technically a thrust stage, or we could do it end on as well, depending on the space that you get. The set it's a catwalk. There's 11 the cast 11 actors.
11. It's an all-female Canadian cast.
Yes, and the other needs, I think we need a comedian to write the stuff.
No, you don't.
No,
It's truth.
It's their sense of humour. Yeah. Okay. Well, when we were pitching this, each of our own pitches, I was sat there thinking this is going to be really difficult to smush them together, but we seem to have done it and taken it in our stride. So, thank you everybody who's listened. This week's
nothing like self-praise, is there, Gemma? Like, we done it really well. Now, because we done it really well, don't forget to like and give us 5 stars because we done really, really well.
If you've managed to get to this far in the podcast, well done. We've been all over the place, but it's been absolutely
Can I just
fun.
add another thing, Gemma?
Let's face it, I'm not even certain that all 3 of us have made it this far.
Sure.
I did actually think of a set for my Shakespeare idea.
Tell us the Shakespeare idea set.
And it was, I'm going to put a big catwalk in Shakespeare's Globe.
Brilliant. Fantastic.
So is this the point when I just say it's nothing to do with this, but I pitched you a show I've wanted to do for many a year, which is a blank verse tragedy, very much in the style of Julius Caesar, but in which Caesar is Harry Styles and Brutus is Zane?
And it's all set in Canada.
It's all set in Canada.
It's all set it's set over the Canadian tour of One Direction.
Yeah. You are going to be so gutted the week we get One Direction because you've already given that good idea away.
Yeah, you have. So, everybody, well done. You've gotten several shows out of us for free that Joe may or may not regret when One Direction comes up as our thing. So this week's show has been Canada's Next Top Model Season 3, the 8-act 1-act show that is a comedic retelling of the Season 3 of Canada's Next Top Model as told by the contestants who lost each episode.
We need a shorter name than that.
Yes, we do, and we need a better blurb writing for it. But it's a comedy. It's an all-female cast of 11 performers. It is set in a theatre with a catwalk, and it is very, very fun. So, and it's insane. And it's also not a musical. So, well done, everybody. I'm going to hand over to... Who has to choose the next one? Sean, are you choosing
Joe.
the next one?
No, I done it last week because you remember I forgot about you.
Yeah, you did. Thanks. I'm handing over to Joe. That's why I started the podcast.
Yeah, I've just realised.
Not picking on you. Yeah, it was all subconscious. Joe, I'm going to hand over to you to find out what next week's podcast and next week's show is going to be about. Hit that random button.
All right, and while I get the randomizer ready on our online encyclopedia of choice, if you haven't already, you can find us online at Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on just Google. Just look for OFITD or OFITD Arts wherever you're looking, and you'll probably find us. You can find me on Twitter at NotJoeRanchka, that's NotJoeRaczka, and you can find Sean at...
Still Shawnee B, and I won't spell it.
And are you happy that you're my favourite, Sean?
I know. I know.
Yeah.
It's only because Joe realised I was going to point out that one day he's going to mess up spelling his own name.
Never going to happen. That's a promise. If it ever happens, I will quit the podcast.
No.
And you can find Jem at...
OFITD_Jem. That's with a J. And yes, I did think Joe was about to forget me again.
Yeah. I thought that was going to happen.
Now, I have next week's article ready, and I just want to, before we get to this one, a little bit of backstory for... I'm assuming a lot of people might know this if they're watching this podcast, but Sean, Jem, and I all met at a little university called Aberystwyth.
Oh no, I'm terrified. What's the article?
This week's article is brackets place name elements Aber and Inver. Aber and Inver are both common elements in place names of Celtic origin, both meaning confluence of waters or river mouth.
No one's going to believe that we choose this at random.
I'm hoping that they will believe this purely by your complete lack of belief of this.
What?
Hang on. Okay. So it's the like...
It's all about the prefix of the words of name places such as Aberystwyth or Inverness. Aber or Inver both mean river mouth. And so it is a list of various place names and the origins of the Aber and Inver prefix, so thereforth.
Okay. Fantastic. Next week's show is going to make everybody need to pee because it's all about water and geography.
It won't be. It'll be about politics.
It will be...
I'm just stating it now before anyone thinks of doing this. No, we can't do a musical entirely based on the TLC song Waterfalls.
And also, Joe, your challenge. No politics next week.
Not gonna happen.
Challenge. We don't want to like box ourselves in. But thank you so much for listening. Well done if you've gotten this far. It's been absolutely fun. I think we've had the most fun so far. We've given you a synopsis of Hamilton. We've given you a free show that is a Shakespeare show set in one direction. And we've actually given you what we set out to do, which is 3 individual pitches and one somewhat coherent pitch for a theatre show. If you liked any of them, let us know in the comment section below, and if you've got any idea for how you would stage Canada's Next Top Model Season 3, then let us know, and if we love it enough, we'll have you on the podcast. But for now, thank you so much. This is sounding more and more rehearsed. It's fantastic. But for now, thank you so much for listening and watching. I've been Jem, it's been Sean and Joe, and thank you so much. Like, comment, subscribe, and we shall see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, stop.
Hammer time.